All right, you guys, so I wanted to give y'all my analysis on Bitcoin. I've been trading for over a year. I learned how to trade in 3 months, mastered it in a year, and I've been trading Bitcoin for about that time. And let me tell you something, Bitcoin almost broke me as a trader, but it made me into exactly who I am today because of that. So this is how I analyze the charts. Don't come up under my post talking about, oh, you're doing it wrong. Everybody does it differently. This is how I learn, and I'm gonna stick to that. I've added a couple of things onto, the things that I've learned, but overall, this is how I trade. Okay, I like simple. So let's break it down. Okay, so we can see that we had a retest of this imbalance right here on the weekly chart. So what I do is I take my Fibonacci tool from the bottom, which is this low, up to the high. Okay, up to the high. Okay, now looking at this, in my mind, in the way that I analyze the chart, Bitcoin could go lower. It's right now currently at 115. Bitcoin could definitely go lower. I trade futures, so whatever it closed at on the weekly on futures is what I'm going off of, right? So even though we have like 115, like it's back up to 115, when the market's open, we still could see a drop, you guys. So from my weekly chart, I only look at my daily to see what happened Friday, right? And Friday we had a bearish day. The weekly chart also, if I look at my futures chart, it was bearish as well. And the way that I was taught is if it's bearish, typically it's going to be bearish again, especially if it doesn't close below a certain point, right? So now that I have all of that information, I'm looking on my 4-hour chart. I do have a higher time frame supply zone, which is my 4-hour supply. So I'm going to mark this up as my 4-hour supply zone. And then what I'm going to do is look to see on my 1-hour, do I have a 1-hour supply? I don't have a 1-hour supply. Look at my 15-minute. I do have a 15-minute supply zone right here. Okay, so I'm going to mark this up as well. So we got a 15-minute supply. All right, so now that we have that 15-minute supply zone, what I'm looking for in order for me to get in a trade, because I still feel like, Bitcoin could go further. And the reason why I said that is because look at the daily chart. Okay, even though we had this to tap into this zone, right? And I wouldn't technically say this is a demand zone because it didn't lead to a break of structure above this point. Now this could be, and it's been tested several different times, right? So even if I go down to my 4-hour chart and I'm looking, I do see that we have a deeper zone, right? Which would be down here, and then we can potentially tap into this level. That's just my analysis. So I'm gonna go back to this 15-minute time frame, and in order for me to get into a entry off of this zone, I need to see rejection out of here, right? If a candle closes on the outside of this, to me, that is an indication that we can get, further bearish momentum. Okay, if a candle closes above this zone, we can see that we can possibly tap back into this 4-hour supply, right? But based on my analysis, I feel like we can get a deeper discount if you're trading the ETF of Bitcoin. If you're trading if you're trading the ETF of Bitcoin, I feel like you should wait. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just my analysis, right? So now from there, I want to get rid of my Fibonacci tool because I know already where it could potentially go. Now I need to see how far back it could retrace. So I'm going to take it from this swing all the way down to this swing. Okay. And the 61% line just so happens to match up with my 15-minute supply. So what I'm looking for is a strong rejection out of this point. If I don't get a rejection out of this point, we could possibly see it tap back into this zone right here. So right here in this zone, sweep some liquidity and go down further. Okay, so just because it's pulling back right now don't mean nothing. You have to look at what Bitcoin been doing over the weekend. And when you're trading futures, which I trade Bitcoin futures and gold futures, it's regulated, so the market stopped. All this extra stuff over the weekend don't matter until the market opens, right? So this is just my analysis for the week. What's this week? The upcoming week, which we have a holiday tomorrow. So this is October 12th. So this is my analysis for the week of October 13th. Take it how you want to. This is just my breakdown and how I see the charts. I don't do all that extra stuff. I don't talk about unicorns and fairies and stuff like that. I talk about simplicity, like what I need to see coming out of this zone in order for me to take the trade, right? Also, if you look on a 4-hour chart, you do have a level of resistance right here, like it hit this multiple times and then it dropped, right? We were able to get back above that because of the recent news. However, in order for us to like really push above a zone, I really feel like we're gonna have to see it close above this 4-hour supply to be like a strong indication that we're going to be bullish again. Okay, so this is my level of support, resistance. We just need to see what it's going to do. My analysis said it's going to be bearish for the week, so we might see some momentum up to sweep liquidity from Friday, which is typically what happens before we get an impulse move to the downside. This is just an analysis, it's not concrete. You never know with the markets. Okay, so I hope y'all enjoyed this, especially for my Bitcoin traders. Happy trading week. Let's get it.